Dr. Kexthera pressed her four-fingered hand against the viewing window of the galactic survey vessel Harmonious Inquiry. The blue and green planet below looked beautiful from space, but the data on her screen told a different story. This world was a nightmare. "Computer, run the environmental analysis again," she said in her soft musical voice. The Zephyrian scientist had purple skin and large, gentle eyes that had never seen violence or danger on her peaceful homeworld. The computer's calm voice filled the observation deck. Analysis complete. Planet Sol 3 shows extreme environmental hazards. Surface temperature varies from -40 degrees to +50 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric composition includes 21% oxygen, a highly reactive gas. Seismic activity detected across all continents. Weather systems show regular violent storms with wind speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Kexithera's colleague, a crystal-based Vexnari named Zixtal, chimed softly behind her. "The data must be wrong. No intelligent life could survive on such a world." "I checked 3 times, Kexithera replied. "The surface is mostly covered with a chemical solvent. The planet shakes regularly. The atmosphere would corrode most metals we know. And look at this." She pointed to the screen showing weather patterns. "Massive electrical storms happen daily. Some areas get hit with frozen water falling from the sky at high speeds." The third member of their team, Blue Wave, swam nervously in his mobile water tank. The Delphinians' home ocean world had no weather, no seasons, and certainly no solid ground that moved without warning. "Maybe the intelligence readings are wrong too." His voice bubbled through the translation device. Kexithera shook her head. "No, the readings are clear. There's definitely an advanced civilization down there. Cities, roads, flying machines, radio signals. They've even achieved spaceflight." She pulled up another screen. "Look at this. They have structures built right on the edges of moving ground plates. Some cities are built below sea level, surrounded by walls to keep out the corrosive solvent." "That makes no sense." Zixtal's crystalline form flashed confused colors. "Why would they build where the ground moves? Why live below the level of the dangerous liquid?" The computer beeped softly. "Dr. Kexithera, I'm detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface." "Show me." The main screen filled with an image from the surface. Kexithera gasped. During what appeared to be a massive electrical storm, with lightning striking the ground repeatedly, she could see small figures moving around outside. They weren't running for shelter. They seemed to be playing? "Enhance Section 7, she whispered. The image zoomed in. Definitely intelligent beings, roughly humanoid in shape. They were outside in the storm, and some of them appeared to be enjoying the lightning show. Children were running around while adults sat and watched the electrical display. "They're insane," Blue Wave bubbled in shock. "They're watching a deadly electrical storm for fun." Kexthera studied the readings more carefully. The lightning was hitting metal rods attached to buildings, then flowing harmlessly into the ground. They've tamed the lightning. They're using those metal rods to protect themselves. "But why stay outside during the storm at all?" Zixtal asked. Before Kexithera could answer, the communications officer called from the bridge. "Dr. Kexithera, please report to the bridge immediately. We're receiving a transmission from the planet." The 3 scientists hurried to the bridge. Captain Veltron, another Zephyrian, looked worried. "They spotted us," he said. "We followed all stealth protocols, but somehow they detected our ship." "What kind of transmission?" Kexithera asked. "It's strange. Mathematical sequences, but also what appears to be music and images. They're trying to communicate peacefully." Kexithera felt relief. At least they weren't violent. "Standard first contact protocols, then. Send back mathematical sequences and wait for their response." What happened next shocked everyone. Instead of the usual cautious long-distance communication that lasted for months, the planet's inhabitants responded immediately. Then within hours they did something no civilized species had ever done before. "Captain," the communications officer said, voice shaking slightly. "They're sending up a ship. It's heading directly for us." "What?" Captain Veltron's skin turned pale purple. "That's impossible. No species approaches an unknown alien vessel directly. The safety protocols alone." "Sir, they're requesting permission to come aboard." The bridge fell silent. In the long history of galactic exploration, first contact always happened slowly, carefully, with lots of distance and safety measures. Species would exchange messages for years before meeting face to face. The idea of immediately boarding each other's ships was unthinkable. "Maybe they don't understand the danger," Kexithera suggested. Their world is so hostile. Perhaps they don't recognize normal safety concerns. Captain Veltron considered this. Or maybe living on such a dangerous world has made them reckless. We should proceed carefully. The small human ship docked with surprising skill. Kexthera watched through security monitors as three beings emerged. They looked fragile compared to the brutal world they came from. Soft skin, no natural armor, no obvious weapons or defensive features. How did such delicate creatures survive on that nightmare planet? They're requesting to meet with our science team, the communications officer reported. Against all standard procedures, Captain Veltron agreed to a meeting. The aliens were put through extensive decontamination and health screening. Though they seemed amused by the precautions rather than understanding their necessity, Kexthera met them in the main laboratory, which had been sealed and equipped with emergency containment fields. The three humans entered wearing simple clothing and friendly expressions. "Hello," said the first one, a female with dark hair. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. This is Captain Jake Morrison and Dr. Amara Okafor. We're from Earth." "Earth?" Kexthera asked. "Is that what you call your world?" "Yes, we're very excited to meet you. This is our first contact with alien life." Dr. Chen smiled warmly. "We've been hoping for this day for centuries." Kexthera stared at them. "These creatures seem so normal, pleasant even. How could they be from that death world below? Your planet," she said carefully, "appears to have extremely dangerous environmental conditions. How do you survive there?" The three humans looked confused. Captain Morrison spoke up. "Dangerous? Earth's pretty nice, actually. Great weather, lots of variety. Perfect for life," Dr. Okafor nodded. "We've got beautiful oceans, magnificent mountains, amazing storms." "It's a wonderful world," Kexthera felt dizzy. Were they talking about the same planet? The one with the moving ground and corrosive liquid covering most of its surface? "But the seismic activity," she said weakly. "The violent weather, the reactive atmosphere." Dr. Chen looked thoughtful. "Oh, you mean earthquakes and storms and oxygen?" "Yes, we have those. They're just part of life. You learn to work with them." "Work with them?" Sixtal's crystal body flickered in alarm. "Sure," Captain Morrison said casually. "Earthquakes just mean you build flexible buildings. Storms bring rain for crops and wind for sailing. Oxygen keeps us alive." Kexthera realized she was dealing with beings whose entire understanding of normal was completely different from the rest of the galaxy. What they called working with deadly forces, any other species would call certain death. These humans weren't just survivors of a hostile world. They were so adapted to danger that they couldn't even see it anymore. Dr. Kexthera spent the next several hours in what she was beginning to think of as the most disturbing scientific interview of her career. The three humans sat comfortably in the laboratory, drinking something they called coffee, a liquid made from grinding up seeds and mixing them with hot water. The very idea made her stomach turn. "So tell us about your world," Dr. Chen said cheerfully. "What's it like where you come from?" Kexthera described Zephyr Prime, a peaceful world with gentle rains, stable ground, and mild temperatures that never varied more than a few degrees. No storms, no earthquakes, no dangerous animals. The humans listened politely, but she could see something like pity in their eyes. "Sounds very calm," Captain Morrison said carefully. "Must be nice and relaxing." "Relaxing?" Kexthera was confused. "It's safe, predictable, the way civilized worlds should be." Dr. Okafor exchanged a look with her companions. "Don't you ever feel, I don't know, bored?" "Bored?" The question made no sense. "Why would safety be boring?" "Let me understand your world better," Kexthera said, consulting her data pad. "You live on a planet where the ground regularly moves without warning." "Earthquakes," Dr. Chen nodded. "Most of them are pretty small. You barely notice them." "Small?" Kexthera checked her readings. "Some of your earthquakes measure over 8.0 on the Richter scale. That's enough to destroy entire cities." "Well, yes, the big ones can cause problems," Captain Morrison admitted. "That's why we build our buildings to sway instead of break. And we have early warning systems." Kexthera stared at him. "You have early warning systems so you can, what, run away?" "Usually we just make sure we're not near anything that might fall over," Dr. Okafor explained. "Then we wait for it to stop shaking. You stay there? While the ground moves? Where else would we go?" Dr. Chen asked, genuinely puzzled. "It's our home." Kexthera made a note on her pad with shaking hands. These beings stayed in place during seismic events. They had built their entire civilization on unstable ground and just accepted that it might move at any time. "Tell me about your oceans," she said, hoping for something less disturbing. "Oh, we love the oceans." Dr. Chen's face lit up. "I'm a marine biologist. I spend most of my time underwater studying sea life." "Underwater?" Kexthera's voice rose in pitch. "You submerge yourself in the corrosive solvent?" "Corrosive solvent?" Captain Morrison laughed. "You mean water? It's not corrosive. It's just water. Your water is a universal solvent," Kexthera said shakily. "It dissolves most materials given time. It conducts electricity. In its frozen form, it expands and can crack solid rock." "Well, yes," Dr. Okafor agreed. "That's how erosion works. Water shapes the landscape. It's beautiful, really. And you swim in it?" "Of course. Swimming is great exercise. Very relaxing. There was that word again. These humans found everything relaxing, even activities that should terrify any reasonable being." "What about your weather?" Kexthera asked desperately. "Your storms produce electrical discharges powerful enough to vaporize organic matter." "Lightning," Captain Morrison nodded, "can be dangerous if you're not careful. But thunderstorms are amazing to watch. Nothing quite like them. You watch them?" "Sure. From inside, usually, or at least away from tall objects. Lightning generally hits the highest thing around, so you just avoid being that thing." Dr. Chen pulled out a small device and showed Kexthera pictures. "These are some photos I took of lightning over the ocean last month. Aren't they beautiful?" Kexthera looked at the images of massive electrical discharges splitting the sky and felt faint. These beings photographed deadly natural phenomena for pleasure. "The oxygen in your atmosphere," she said weakly. "It's a highly reactive gas. It causes materials to oxidize and decay. It's essentially a slow poison." "Oxygen?" Dr. Okafor looked confused. "We need oxygen to live. We breathe it. You breathe a reactive gas. All the time. About 21% of our atmosphere is oxygen. Without it, we'd die in minutes." Kexthera made another note. The humans had evolved to require a substance that most galactic species considered toxic. "Tell me about your food," she said, though she was beginning to dread the answer. "Oh, Earth has amazing food," Dr. Chen smiled. "We eat plants and animals from all over the planet. Fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, grains. And we cook most of it." "Cook?" "Heat it up. Usually with fire." Kexthera closed her eyes. "You use combustion to prepare your food?" "Well, yes. Cooking kills bacteria and makes food easier to digest. Plus it tastes better. You regularly create controlled explosions to prepare meals." Captain Morrison looked amused. "I wouldn't call cooking an explosion. More like controlled burning. And you eat other living creatures?" "Some of us do. Humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and animals." Kexthera felt sick. On Zephyr Prime, all civilized beings ate only synthesized nutrients. The idea of consuming other life forms was barbaric. "What about recreation?" she asked, hoping for something normal. "We love outdoor activities," Dr. Okafor said enthusiastically. "Hiking in the mountains, swimming in the ocean, skiing down snow-covered slopes, surfing on big waves." "Surfing?" "You ride a board on ocean waves. The bigger the wave, the more exciting it is. You deliberately put yourself in the path of moving water that could crush you?" "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds dangerous," Captain Morrison laughed. "But it's not really that bad if you know what you're doing." Kexthera made more notes. Humans sought out dangerous activities for entertainment. "Some people like extreme sports," Dr. Chen added. "Rock climbing, skydiving, bungee jumping." "What's skydiving?" "You jump out of an aircraft at high altitude and fall toward the ground. Then you open a parachute to slow down before you land. You voluntarily fall from aircraft? It's fun. The view is incredible." Kexthera put down her data pad. She was beginning to understand that these humans had a completely different relationship with danger than any other known species. They didn't avoid risk, they embraced it. "Dr. Kexthera," Dr. Chen said gently, "I hope we're not frightening you with our descriptions of Earth. It really is a beautiful world. Would you like to visit sometime? We'd love to show you around." "Visit?" Kexthera looked at the friendly, smiling faces of the three humans. They were genuinely inviting her to descend to their nightmare world. They truly couldn't see how terrifying their planet was. "That's very kind," she managed to say. "Perhaps we could arrange something." She was already planning to recommend that the Galactic Council classify humans as a species suffering from severe psychological damage due to environmental trauma. It was the only explanation that made sense. These beings weren't evil or aggressive. They were just completely insane. 3 days later, Dr. Kexithera found herself in the shuttle bay, wearing the most advanced environmental protection suit her species had ever created. Next to her, Zixtal's crystal form was encased in a climate-controlled transparent container, while Blue Wave had insisted on bringing his own portable ocean in case Earth's atmosphere proved too toxic for his gills. "Are you sure about this?" Captain Veltron asked over the communication system. "We could study them from orbit for a few more months first." Kexithera looked through her helmet at the 3 humans, who wore nothing but light clothing and friendly smiles. They had called her environmental suit cute and asked if she was planning to go swimming in it. "Scientific curiosity demands direct observation," she said, though her voice shook slightly. "If we're going to understand how they survive on their world, we need to see it firsthand." Dr. Chen piloted their shuttle down through Earth's atmosphere. Kexithera watched in horror as they passed through layers of what the humans called weather, moving masses of water vapor that blocked visibility and created turbulence. Lightning flashed around them. "Sorry about the bumpy ride," Dr. Chen called back cheerfully. "We're flying through a storm front. Should clear up in a few minutes." Flying through a storm, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. They broke through the clouds, and Kexithera got her first close look at Earth's surface. It was worse than she had imagined. The shuttle was approaching a group of islands surrounded by vast amounts of the corrosive solvent. Massive waves crashed against black rock shores. Steam rose from cracks in the ground. "Welcome to Hawaii," Captain Morrison said. "One of our favorite vacation spots." Vacation spots. They came to this place voluntarily, for pleasure. The shuttle landed on a flat area near the ocean. Dr. Chen opened the hatch, and immediately Kexithera's sensors screamed warnings. Toxic gases, harmful radiation, unstable atmospheric pressure, elevated temperatures. "Lovely day," Dr. Okafor said, stepping outside and breathing deeply. "Perfect weather for the beach." Kexithera carefully exited the shuttle, her suit systems working overtime to keep her alive. The ground beneath her feet was made of cooled lava, volcanic rock that had once been molten. She was standing on the hardened blood of the planet itself. "This whole island chain is volcanic," Dr. Chen explained, noticing Kexithera's readings. "The islands are actually the tops of underwater mountains built by volcanic eruptions. You live on active volcanoes?" Zixtal's translated voice was barely a whisper. "Well, they're mostly quiet these days. Kilauea is still active, but it's been pretty calm lately." Kexithera looked at the readings from her geological sensors. "Calm? Showing continuous volcanic activity right now." "Oh sure, there's always some lava flowing. That's normal for Kilauea. We'll drive by later if you want to see it. It's quite a sight at night." They wanted to show her an active volcano, for sightseeing. As they walked toward the ocean, Kexithera noticed humans everywhere. They were lying on the black volcanic sand, exposing their skin to the harmful radiation from their sun. Others were playing in the corrosive solvent, letting waves crash over them. "Aren't they concerned about the radiation exposure?" she asked. "Oh, we use sunscreen," Dr. Chen said, holding up a small bottle. "This protects our skin from too much UV radiation." "You have a chemical defense against stellar radiation?" "Well, yes, though you have to reapply it every few hours, and some people still get sunburned if they're not careful." Kexithera watched a small human child running directly into the path of an incoming wave. The wave, taller than the child, crashed down with enormous force. She expected to see a tragedy. Instead, the child emerged from the water laughing and immediately ran back for more. "That child was just attacked by your ocean," Kexithera said weakly. "Attacked?" Captain Morrison looked confused, then laughed. "Oh, you mean Jamie playing in the surf. Kids love that. The waves here are pretty gentle today. Gentle." The waves were 2 meters high and struck the shore with the force of a small explosion, and the humans called them gentle. A new sound reached them, a low rumbling from beneath their feet. Kexithera's seismic sensors immediately went into alarm mode. "Earthquake!" she screamed, preparing to run for the shuttle. The humans around them barely paused in their activities. A few looked up with mild interest, but most continued with whatever they were doing. "Just a little trembler," Dr. Okafor said casually. "Maybe 4.5 magnitude. Kinda nice, actually. You can really feel the roll in this one." The ground continued to shake for 30 seconds. Kexithera's emergency systems were screaming at her to evacuate immediately. The humans were discussing the earthquake like they might discuss the weather. That one felt like it was centered pretty far south, one human said to another. Yeah, probably down near the big island. Did you feel how it rolled instead of jerking? They were critiquing the earthquake's performance. I need to sit down, Kexithera said faintly. Dr. Chen guided her to a bench overlooking the ocean. Are you feeling all right? You look a little pale. Your planet just tried to kill me and everyone around us ignored it. Earthquakes are just part of life here. You learn to tell the difference between the ones that matter and the ones that don't. How can you tell? Experience mostly. If you can walk during it, it's probably not serious. If it knocks you down or goes on for more than a minute, then you start thinking about getting under something sturdy. As if to demonstrate the human's complete adaptation to disaster, Kexithera's weather sensors detected an approaching storm. Dark clouds gathered overhead with impossible speed, and the wind began to pick up. Looks like we might get some rain, Captain Morrison observed. The first drops that hit Kexithera's helmet made her sensors spike. The rain was slightly acidic. Not enough to hurt the humans, apparently, but enough to slowly corrode most metals. Quick, we need shelter, she said, from rain. Dr. Chen looked amused. It's just a little shower. Actually, it might cool things down nicely. The humans around them continued their activities as the acidic water fell from the sky. Some of them actually seemed to enjoy it, tilting their faces up to let the corrosive liquid hit their skin. Children splashed in puddles that formed on the volcanic rock. This is impossible, Blue Wave bubbled from his mobile tank. How are they still alive? I'm beginning to think, Kexithera said slowly, that we've been looking at this wrong. What do you mean? She watched a group of humans who had just emerged from the ocean. They were smiling and laughing, their skin glowing with health despite just being submerged in what her people considered a hostile chemical environment. What if they're not insane, she said. What if they're just adapted? Adapted to living in hell? Not hell, just different from what we know. She looked around at the scene. Humans thriving in conditions that would kill most known species within minutes. What if this isn't a death world to them? What if this is just home? Thunder rolled overhead, and lightning began to strike the ocean in the distance. The humans paused to watch the electrical display with obvious appreciation. Beautiful lightning today, one said to another. Yeah, great contrast against those dark clouds. They were treating a deadly electrical storm like an art show. Dr. Chen noticed Kexithera's continued amazement. You know, you might enjoy visiting during winter, she said helpfully. The weather's completely different then. We get snow sometimes. Snow? Frozen water that falls from the sky. It's very peaceful. Frozen corrosive solvent falling from above at high velocity. The humans called it peaceful. Dr. Chen, Kexithera said carefully, what do you consider a dangerous place on your world? Dr. Chen thought for a moment. Well, there are some pretty extreme environments. The deep ocean trenches are challenging. Crushing pressure and no light. Antarctica gets really cold and windy. The Amazon rainforest has lots of predators and diseases. Active volcanic zones can be tricky. Each location she mentioned sounded like a scientific description of various forms of hell. And humans go to these places? Oh, sure, scientists, explorers, tourists. Some people really love extreme environments. Dr. Okafor nodded enthusiastically. I've been to all of those places. They're incredible. Each one teaches you something new about survival and adaptation. As they prepared to return to the shuttle, Kexithera realized she was beginning to understand something important. These humans weren't broken or damaged by their hostile world. They were perfected by it. Back aboard the Harmonious Inquiry, Dr. Kexithera spent 3 sleepless nights reviewing her data. Everything she thought she knew about life in the galaxy was wrong. Computer, show me the human's biological data again, she said, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. The display filled with medical scans of Dr. Chen, Captain Morrison, and Dr. Okafor. What she saw should have been impossible. Their bone density is 40% higher than standard for humanoid species, she muttered, making notes. Muscle fiber density is extraordinary. Their cardiovascular system has multiple backup pathways. She paused. Computer, analyze their healing rates. Human healing rates are approximately 300% faster than galactic average for similar species, the computer reported. Their immune systems show active adaptation to hostile organisms and environmental toxins. Kexthera pulled up more data. The humans had redundant organs. 2 kidneys when most species had one. Backup circulation systems. Incredibly efficient metabolism. They were built like living fortresses. It's not just their bodies, she whispered. Look at their psychological profiles. The mental health scans were equally shocking. Where most species showed stress responses to mild environmental changes, the humans registered dangerous situations as normal background conditions, and their stress hormones only activated during what they considered real emergencies, events that would send other species into complete panic. Dr. Kexthera? Dr. Chen's voice came from the communication panel. May we visit you? We brought some things from Earth we thought you might find interesting. Despite every instinct telling her to maintain quarantine protocols, Kexthera found herself agreeing. The 3 humans arrived carrying what they called gifts, samples of their impossible world. This is honey, Dr. Chen said, setting down a jar of golden liquid. It's made by insects on our world. They collect nectar from flowers and transform it into food. Insects make food? Bees, yes. They're quite remarkable. They also pollinate most of our flowering plants. Kexthera stared at the jar. You eat something made by insects? It's delicious. Very nutritious, too. Captain Morrison placed a smooth, colorful stone on the table. This is from a beach in California. It's been polished by waves over thousands of years. Polished by the corrosive solvent? By the ocean, yes. Water shapes everything on our world, given enough time. Dr. Okafor added her contribution, a piece of wood with intricate patterns. This is from a tree that grew on the side of a volcano. The harsh conditions created these beautiful stress patterns in the grain. Kexthera examined the wood sample. This organism grew in volcanic conditions? Plants are amazingly adaptable. Some of our most beautiful forests grow on volcanic soil. The ash makes the ground very fertile. She was beginning to see a pattern. Everything on Earth that seemed deadly to other species was just another resource to humans. Tell me, she said carefully. How do human children learn to survive on your world? Dr. Chen smiled. We teach them gradually. First how to swim so they won't drown, how to recognize dangerous weather and find shelter, what plants and animals to avoid, basic first aid in case someone gets hurt. You teach children to treat their own injuries? Of course. Accidents happen. Everyone should know how to handle basic medical emergencies. What kind of accidents? Captain Morrison thought for a moment. Cuts, burns, broken bones, allergic reactions, getting lost in the wilderness, animal bites, that sort of thing. Each item on his list would be considered a major medical emergency on any civilized world. Humans taught their children to handle these things as routine problems. Dr. Okafor, Kexthera said, you mentioned you study extreme environments. What's the most dangerous place you've visited? Probably the Mariana Trench. It's the deepest part of our ocean, about 11 kilometers down. The pressure would crush most submarines, it's completely dark, and the temperature is just above freezing. And you went there? In a specialized submersible, yes. We were studying life forms that exist in those conditions. It's amazing what can adapt to survive. Life exists there? Oh yes, quite a lot of it actually. Giant tube worms, strange fish, bacteria that eat chemicals instead of sunlight. Life finds a way. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. That's what's so wonderful about Earth. Life exists everywhere, in boiling hot springs, in frozen Antarctica, in the deep ocean, even in our most polluted areas. Evolution always finds solutions, evolution. Kexthera felt something click in her mind. How long has life existed on your world? She asked. About 4 billion years, Captain Morrison replied. Humans have only been around for a few 100,000 years. So life on your world has had 4 billion years to adapt to these extreme conditions? Exactly. Every species on Earth has been shaped by our environment. We're all products of natural selection in a challenging world. Kexthera felt excitement building in her chest. And humans are the most recent result of this process? Well, we're one result. We're not the only successful species. Earth has millions of different life forms, each perfectly adapted to their particular niche. But you're the only ones who achieved intelligence and technology. As far as we know, yes. Though some of our marine mammals are quite smart, and there are other species that use tools. She was starting to understand. Humans weren't damaged by their world. They were crafted by it. 4 billion years of evolution on a challenging planet had produced a species uniquely suited to survive. Anything. Tell me about your space program, she said. Dr. Chen pulled out a small device and showed images. We've been to our moon several times, sent probes to all the planets in our solar system, and we're working on missions to other stars. The images showed humans in bulky protective suits exploring airless worlds, piloting spacecraft through radiation fields, building bases in environments that made Earth look like paradise. You see other worlds as places to explore? Of course. The universe is full of amazing places we want to see. Even worlds more dangerous than Earth? Especially those worlds, Dr. Okafor said with excitement. The more challenging the environment, the more we can learn. Kexithera looked at her companions. Zixtal was flashing colors of deep thought, while Blue Wave was floating very still in his tank. I think I understand now, she said slowly. You're not insane. You're not damaged. You're evolved. Most species in the galaxy developed on gentle worlds. Stable climates, few natural disasters, predictable environments. We became intelligent through cooperation and tool use, but we never faced serious environmental pressure. The humans listened intently, but your world never stopped challenging life. For 4 billion years, every generation faced storms, earthquakes, climate changes, predators, diseases. Only the most adaptable survived to reproduce. That's basic evolutionary theory, Captain Morrison agreed. Don't you see? You're not just adapted to survive on a dangerous world. You're adapted to survive on any world. Your species was forged in conditions that would kill most galactic citizens instantly. Dr. Chen looked thoughtful. We have noticed that other worlds seem easier than Earth, because they are. Your bodies are built to handle temperature extremes, pressure changes, toxic environments, physical damage. Your minds are wired to stay calm under pressure and solve problems quickly. She pulled up her analysis of human technology. Look at your machines. Everything is overbuilt, redundant, designed to work under harsh conditions. Most galactic technology would break down in Earth's environment within days. We do tend to build things pretty sturdy, Dr. Okafor admitted. Because you have to. Your entire civilization developed expecting things to go wrong. You're the only species in the galaxy that plans for disaster as a matter of routine. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't a curiosity or an anomaly. They were the most successful survival specialists in the known galaxy. They just didn't know it because they had no other reference point. Dr. Kexithera, Captain Morrison said quietly. Are you saying other worlds are easier to live on than Earth? Easier? She laughed, though it sounded a bit hysterical. Captain, you come from a world that would kill most galactic species in minutes. Every other world we know would seem like a gentle paradise to you. 6 months later, Dr. Kexithera stood before the Galactic Council, the most important governing body in known space. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great chamber. Their various forms of life united in peaceful cooperation and complete shock at her report. Members of the council, she began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to propose. I present the case for immediate reclassification of death worlds and the species that evolve upon them. The Vegan representative, a tall being made of living crystal similar to Zixtal, chimed softly. Dr. Kexithera, your initial report classified the humans as psychologically damaged due to environmental trauma. You now claim they represent a new category of life entirely? That's correct, Counselor. After extensive observation and analysis, I believe death world species, particularly humans, represent the most significant discovery in galactic history. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Altarian delegate, whose species resembled large, peaceful herbivores, spoke next. You ask us to believe that worlds we consider uninhabitable produce superior life forms? Kexithara activated the chamber's display system. Images of Earth appeared. Storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, predators, all the natural disasters that made civilized species shudder. What we see as hell, they see as home, she explained. But more importantly, these conditions have created beings with capabilities we never imagined possible. She showed the biological comparison data. Human bone density, muscle strength, healing rates, disease resistance, environmental adaptation, all far exceed galactic norms. But that's just the beginning. The next display showed psychological profiles. Their mental resilience is extraordinary. Stress levels that would incapacitate most species barely register with humans. They remain functional under conditions that would cause complete psychological breakdown in other races. Interesting, but hardly unprecedented, the Delphinian counselor gurgled from her water tank. Many species show environmental adaptation. Observe, Kexthera said, and played video footage from Earth. The council watched in stunned silence as humans performed routine activities, flying aircraft through violent storms, working calmly during earthquakes, swimming in rough seas, climbing mountains during blizzards, conducting scientific research in active volcanic zones. These are not exceptional individuals, Kexthera explained. This is normal human behavior. What we consider emergency survival conditions. They consider recreational activities. She pulled up the next set of data, human space exploration records. In just a few decades since achieving spaceflight, humans have sent missions to every planet in their solar system. They've built stations in vacuum, landed on worlds with crushing gravity, explored regions of intense radiation. They don't avoid dangerous environments. They seek them out. The Andromedan delegate, whose species evolved in zero gravity, floated forward. Surely this is reckless behavior, not evolutionary advantage. That's what I thought initially, Kexthera replied. But watch this. She showed footage from a recent human space mission to a moon with an unstable sulfuric atmosphere and frequent seismic activity. The Galactic Council had classified it as completely uninhabitable. Humans had established a thriving research station there. They don't see danger the way we do, she explained. They see challenges to overcome, problems to solve, environments to adapt to. What we call reckless, they call Tuesday. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Kexthera, the Council Prime spoke, her ancient voice carrying the authority of eons. What exactly are you proposing? I propose that Death World species represent the galaxy's greatest untapped resource. While we've spent millennia avoiding dangerous planets, evolution has been creating the perfect explorers, survivors, and problem solvers. She gestured to the viewing screen, which now showed a map of the galaxy, with thousands of worlds marked in red. These are planets we've classified as uninhabitable. Toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures, geological instability, dangerous radiation levels. We've written them off as worthless. The red dots began to flash green. But to Death World species like humans, these aren't barriers. They're opportunities. Every red planet on this map could be explored, studied, even colonized by beings adapted to harsh conditions. You're suggesting we deliberately seek out these dangerous species? The vegan representative asked. I'm suggesting we recognize that what we call dangerous, they call normal, and that normal for them makes them invaluable for exploration, research, and survival in conditions we can't even approach. Captain Morrison's voice came through the communication system from the Harmonious Inquiry, where the human delegation waited. Council members, if I may. Proceed, Captain Morrison. We've been listening to this debate with interest. Dr. Kexthera is correct that we don't see our world as particularly dangerous. It's just home, but we're fascinated by your description of safer worlds. How so? Asked the Council Prime. Well, you describe worlds with stable climates, predictable weather, no seismic activity, gentle environmental conditions. That sounds peaceful, but also kind of fragile. Murmurs of confusion rippled through the chamber. What we mean is, Dr. Chen's voice joined in. What happens when something goes wrong on those worlds? If you're not used to dealing with natural disasters, environmental changes, or system failures, how do you cope when they inevitably occur? The question hung in the air. Most council species had contingency plans for emergencies, but they were theoretical. None of them had ever actually lived through the kind of regular environmental challenges that humans considered normal. Furthermore, Dr. Okafor added, we're very interested in exploring some of those uninhabitable worlds you mentioned. They sound like fascinating research opportunities. Kexthera smiled. This is exactly my point, council members. We see deadly worlds, they see research opportunities. We see impossible conditions, they see interesting problems to solve. The Altarian delegate leaned forward. Dr. Kexthera, are you suggesting humans could survive on worlds that would kill us within minutes? Not just survive, thrive. Their entire evolutionary history has prepared them for exactly these conditions. And in return for access to these worlds? Asked the Council Prime. Captain Morrison answered immediately. We share everything we learn. Scientific data, Technological developments, survival techniques, exploration methods. We're not looking to claim territory. We're looking to expand knowledge. And, Dr. Chen added, we'd love to learn about your peaceful worlds too. The idea of stable, predictable environments is as fascinating to us as dangerous worlds are frightening to you. Over the following hours, the council debated and questioned. By the end of the session, they had established the Extreme Environment Exploration Initiative, with humans as the primary field operatives. Within a year, human-led teams were exploring planets that had been written off for centuries. They established research stations on worlds with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and violent weather systems. Each mission returned with valuable scientific data and resources that expanded galactic knowledge exponentially. Dr. Kexis, Thara found herself appointed as the liaison between the human exploration teams and the galactic scientific community. She spent her time translating between species who saw the universe as a dangerous place to be carefully avoided, and species who saw it as an exciting place to be enthusiastically explored. Dr. Kexithara, Captain Morrison said during one of their regular briefings, "We've been thinking about your original question." "Which question?" "How do we survive on our killer world?" He smiled.
The answer is we don't just survive on it.
We were made by it. Earth didn't try to kill us. It spent 4 billion years teaching us how to live anywhere. As she watched the latest reports from human exploration teams, thriving research stations on radiation-soaked worlds, successful missions to planets with temperatures that would vaporize most known metals, and excited requests to explore even more dangerous environments, Dr. Kexithera realized that humans had given the galaxy something it never knew it needed. Not just the ability to survive in impossible places, but the wisdom to see opportunity where others saw only death, and the courage to explore the unknown simply because it was there. The galaxy had spent eons avoiding its dangerous places, leaving vast regions unexplored and unknown, but now they had partners who called those places home. And suddenly the universe had gotten a lot bigger.